Today is a day I've been waiting months for. It's finally beautiful out, the sun is shining, so we're gonna release a bunch of turtles into our 5,000-gallon backyard pond. Exciting. Cool, so what would you like me to do now? So these beautiful little girls and guys are Sicilian pond turtles. Emys trinacris is their Latin name. They're only found on the island of Sicily. Now they do resemble Emys orbicularis, which is that famously known European pond turtle, and there's a lot of different subspecies underneath Emys orbicularis. But these guys are actually a full species. And again, only found on the island of Sicily. They're absolutely stunning. I mean, I don't even need to describe these things for you guys. They are littered with these beautiful yellow-green markings. Their eyes are beautiful green. And what looks super vibrant to us is their way of blending in, because they will use algae and other aquatic plants to hide. So right now, because it's super early spring, it's kind of easy to see these turtles. But as the aquatic life grows in, we will see less of them except for when they're basking on the rocks and hopefully coming to us for food. But they have spent the last few months indoors in our reptile room to get them through that first winter with us. This species absolutely can hibernate, and they will next year, but we wanted to give them the first winter under close observation indoors with us. But they're ready, and what is better than uniting them with the natural sun and all the elements out here, and we couldn't have a better day to do it. So let's get them released and start seeing how they enjoy this pond.
Didn't you want to show everybody how fast they can swim?
I did. I was really hoping these things would take off, but oh well, that's okay. They're still kind of chilly, which is normal. What I actually did to set them up for success was I started cooling them a little bit in the reptile building, because if I were to take them out of straight heat and put them out here in mild temperatures, you could run into an issue. Somebody could get sick, somebody could drown. Even though these are a freshwater aquatic turtle, they're not as good at swimming as something like a painted turtle or a diamondback terrapin, and of course not like a sea turtle. But they do have webbed feet. They are equipped for an aquatic life, and this is the perfect pond for them because it's not very deep and there will be a lot of vegetation. But right now they're just kind of crawling around and exploring. But that's what I want them to do. I'm releasing them in the shallow end of the pond so that they can gradually make their way down to the deepest portion instead of just putting them right in the deepest portion. They got to learn this habitat. They're not used to it yet. So we got two more here. And what's really cool about these turtles is just how small they are too. That's one of the ways you can distinguish them from most of the European pond turtles, is that these guys and girls are fully grown at like 4.5, 5.5, maybe 6 inches, whereas some of those European pond turtles get really big, upwards of 9 inches. All right, let's put this pretty little girl in here. Go ahead, have a swim. Or a crawl. Look at them though, they're just stunning animals. It's like they're fake. She's moving around a little bit. And this is what I want her to do. I want her to learn all the nooks and crannies in here. They'll find their favorite areas. And once they do, it makes it easy for me to find them if I need to do a health assessment or something. Because turtles absolutely will find their favorite basking areas, favorite areas to hide, and there's all kinds of cool places inside this pond that they can utilize. All right, one more. There you go. That's actually a good size for one. She's one of the two bigger females. Enjoy your new massive aquascape. Sicilian pond turtles are primarily carnivorous, which means they eat animal matter, and that helps kind of act as a cleanup crew for this pond. So any of uneaten food that other turtles or the fish in here don't eat, invertebrates, leeches, those kinds of things, these turtles can naturally feed on, and it's not only good for them, but it benefits the biology of the pond. So, Sicilian ponds, released for the 2025 season. I can't wait till they really start becoming active and you guys can see them shimmering on these rocks and swimming through the water. And again, hopefully coming to us for food. We got a lot to do today. We have to release over 100 tortoises from their cold frames and greenhouses so that they can get started with the 2025 season as well. Here we go, letting out the first tortoises. And I don't know how far in I put the screws. Hello? I think I need them Phillips head here. That would be negative.
What is happening?
I don't know what I did here. I went in on an angle. Come on out. Look at them all. They are all up for the season. This is one of my favorite species. These are Testudo marginata, the marginated tortoise. They are known to be the largest of the European tortoises, reaching up to 14 inches or more. And these guys and girls have actually been up for a couple of days, and they've already started eating a lot of the leaf litter and hay and straw that I had down in there for them. It used to be a nice thick bed. They've been matting it down. The males have already been pursuing the females, and now it is time for them to move on out into their pen and get started with the season. Oh, one's backing up already. Little by little, they're gonna make their way out in here, and there's some new growth for the season that they can start grazing on. And as the weeks and months progress, this thing will really grow in and they can help themselves to a lot of food items. We of course supplement that too, but it's really awesome to see them in a natural type environment, and they get to sleep out here. So what happens is in the fall, they make their way back to these cold frames to start thermoregulating their bodies. And then once they're all accounted for in there and the temperatures are really falling, I barricade this up so that they can safely sleep in there. And then here we are. We're in March. It's time for them to come out and they're gonna start breeding and doing all kinds of things. Marginated tortoises are really suitable for this area because they're a European species that naturally goes through an annual cycle. Marginated tortoises come from areas like Albania, Greece, and they're also found on the island of Sardinia in Italy, where it was believed that humans introduced them a really, really long time ago. But now it's its own distinct population. And in fact, there's actually an extinct type of marginated tortoise that originally came from the island of Crete in Greece. These guys have a very classic look to them. It's easy to recognize them. They're very streamlined and narrow, and they have a bell shape at the bottom. They have these black triangle markings, or also called chevrons, and that's one of the ways you could tell them apart from many other Testudo species that are also in that European genus. They're very prolific actually, and they can lay upwards of 4 to 5 clutches in a given season, and the clutches can have sometimes up to 12 eggs. Our girls tend to lay usually between 6 and 9 in a single clutch, but some of them actually will lay as many as 5 clutches throughout the summer. So in here, actually this entire section is dedicated to our Western Hermann's tortoises. That Latin name is Testudo hermanni. Now this has become a passion species for me for much of my life. And what we do in all these different pens is we house different localities of them. And what that means is these animals look different based on their origins in nature. So the ones that come from certain areas do not look like those that come from other areas. And since nature intended it that way, we like to keep them as pure as possible. So in here is a group of animals whose parents have lineage tied back to Apulia, Italy. Fun fact, that's actually where my family, the Leones, originates from. So these tortoises in here have started coming up inside the cold frame, and just like the marginateds, in late fall, early winter, we barricade them in here so that they stay in a safe zone. You know, this way they can't freeze solid or anything like that. These animals are very hardy and they're equipped to handle a winter, but while with some tortoises, like the Eastern Hermann's tortoise, for example, we let them pick wherever they want to hibernate in the pen. These guys are a little bit more sensitive. They're also very small, so I like to know exactly where they are at all times in the winter in case I need to check on them. So we've got a bunch here that have made their way to the surface. They're starting to bask and warm up, and basically what's going on is these animals are telling me that they're ready for me to open this up for them. I don't force them. When they're ready to come out, they're ready to come out. Those marginateds were ready to barrel right out that front door. So once I unscrew this, now the animals can come and go as they please. And as the season progresses, so will their activity. This is really interesting. We know we're having kind of an early spring where we're ahead of schedule as far as temperatures and conditions go. These particular Western Hermann's tortoises come from the south of France. At least that's where their lineage is tied to. And that means that by nature, they're the most northern population of the Western Hermann's tortoise. So they're the most used to a colder, longer winter than some of these other localities would be. But this is the earliest I have ever seen them wake up. They're usually last, not usually till early April. And here we are in early March and they are waking up. 2 of them are out. That's a male and there's a female that literally just now she is coming up out of the ground. It's super awesome to see these guys for the first time in 2025 because just last year, almost 1 year ago, Casey and I got to experience these animals actually in the wild in the south of France. We got a big male right here. Well, I say big, believe it or not, that's big for a male Western Hermann's because most of them are fully grown at about 4 and 4.5 inches when it comes to the males. Females, slightly bigger, but that also depends on the localities, which is what I was kind of trying to say before. These localities, these phenotypes, which are the morphological traits, the physical aspects of the animal, vary from locality to locality. Sometimes it's a size thing, sometimes it's color, but the Mediterranean tortoises as a whole, super confusing. You really have to have a seasoned, trained eye, something that you gain over so much time to really be able to see those differences because there's variation even within a given population of them. I'm so excited to finally be able to open these things again and see how everybody's doing. Anybody home? Oh, doesn't look like anybody's awake yet. Maybe later today, but like I said, you don't want to force them. The door's open. They can come and go as they please if they want, and I'll check on them later. We got one more pen of Western Hermann's to open up here. Oh, look at this, guys. Look, look, look. You're witnessing spring emergence right before your eyes. These animals are all doing this on their own. First time that I'm seeing them for the 2025 season right alongside you guys. What do you think of that? I think that's pretty cool. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 females. How do I know they're females? Because they're too big to be males. Real quick, you guys might be wondering, why do I go so far to barricade some of these tortoises into these greenhouses or cold frames in the fall and winter, whereas other ones I don't? It also comes down to pen placement. Where the pen is in the yard, there are sometimes low areas that might pool water. That would be lethal to a Hermann's tortoise trying to hibernate. And sometimes they just don't pick the best areas. So if you know your pen well, which you should know the area before you build it, then you can decide, okay, you know what? These guys would be better off being barricaded to a safe area because all these animals are gonna do is dig down a few inches underground and sleep for months. Hibernation holds a lot of benefits for these animals, and I know a lot of people have questions. They're always wondering why leave them out in the cold? We normally as humans associate reptiles with heat, but that's not always the case. And when it comes to a species like a Hermann's tortoise, for example, these animals naturally hibernate in nature. So to quote Naturalistic Keeping and Breeding of Hermann's Tortoises, Wolfgang says, hibernation forms part of the natural annual life cycle of every Hermann's tortoise. As a matter of fact, it is a vital factor for female specimens as these may otherwise become infertile. Generally speaking, tortoises that are enabled to hibernate in cold conditions will be much more hardy, more lively, and even show more contrasting colors. And that's just one little paragraph about this. And it doesn't just apply to Hermann's tortoises. This goes for Russian tortoises, various Greek tortoises, the Marginateds, and there are plenty of other species of turtle and tortoise in the world that are supposed to hibernate. The animals we're gonna go inside and get right now are ready to go outside, and starting now, just like those Sicilian pond turtles, they will stay outside from here on out. Check this out. These are Armenian tortoises. They might look familiar to some of you guys and girls out there because they are one of the Greek tortoises, Testudo graeca species complex. Yet another testudo, I know. Hey, they're my favorite. What do you want? So we're gonna move them into a pen permanently. This is gonna be the brand new Armenian tortoise pen. A lot of room for them. They need it. This is a very aggressive species. And not too long ago, in a past video, we had to take one of these girls to the veterinarian because the males got so aggressive, it's believed that they actually broke the fibula in her rear left leg. Here she is. Happy to report that she's been healing up beautifully. And you might wonder how I know that. Well, because the other day, for the first time ever, she produced a clutch of 5 eggs and she dug that nest just 1 month later after being at the veterinarian with a broken fibula perfectly. She dug it just fine. She deposited those 5 eggs and covered that nest, and it was a beautifully executed job even with that injured back leg. So she's healing up nicely, and we've shown you guys so many times in all these videos we do just how resilient they truly are. These animals really, once their needs are met, they require our absence. We can step aside and just let them be tortoises, be turtles. And that's what I want to see them do in this pen. This has got the proper sun placement, the proper substrate for them. They're protected from predators. They will be able to live their lives here. But what's really extra exciting about this, the Armenian tortoise is very, very rare in captive management. So hopefully those 5 eggs will yield the very first known USA captive bred Armenians. But they're off to a great start for the season. They've already started producing, they're out here now, and they're gonna get to experience the sun, the rain, everything that they need to. We've got a lot more tortoises to let out of their greenhouses so they can get started with 2025, but we also have one other thing to do with a pretty big group of animals. Not too long ago, we were back over at the Popcorn Park Animal Refuge where they had us take a lot of turtles. A good portion of those were eastern box turtles. Some of them special needs, again, not unlike a turtle like Rockalina, so they are going to be staying indoors. But these animals, already used to a life outdoors, are going to be moved into the outdoor pen here where they can behave like wild box turtles. That's what I want them to do. I want them to go through all the seasons, that annual cycle, and have the life out here in this pen, and they essentially can fend for themselves. This pen is so huge that they can find a lot of their own food. They've got various different water sources, and they can just be turtles. Like, I really can't say that enough. That's what I want them to do, and these guys are more than ready for it. I wish they got a natural winter. They had to be artificially cooled indoors, but now moving forward, they will be able to. So let's release them. All right, so no reason to put them all in the same spot. I'm gonna spread them out in this massive enclosure. There are actually 2 box turtles here right now. They've started naturally waking up in here. It looks like one's already going back in. Let's see. Let's find some fun spots to put them. This is a good spot to put a couple, right by this water hole here. They might go right down into that, burrow into the mud as the night gets cooler. And if you're wondering how big this pen is, I have no idea. I have no idea how to measure it. It used to be like various different pens, and then I just took dividers out because eastern box turtles are a big part of what we rescue here. We take them in from Popcorn Park Animal Refuge. We've gotten them from confiscations, various surrenders. So there's always a good number of them here, and it's nice to have such a big area where they can essentially just live wild. Here's a good spot. Check this out. This guy, no idea how that got there. It could have been shot with something like a pellet gun or, you know, impaled. I don't know. But these are all non-releasable box turtles that come from areas that nobody knows. So that's why they can't just be released back into nature, because these animals don't have a locality. Box turtles do have a very specific home range though. So a lot of times these kinds of relocations that happen with them are very tough. Some box turtles will unfortunately never settle into a new place, and they will forever try to get home, even though home could be 1,000 miles away. That doesn't seem to be the case with these animals. They've been at Popcorn Park for a long time and they've settled in nicely, so I'm expecting them to do well here. But food for thought. Next time you think about taking that turtle home that's crossing the road, don't do it. It's already home. Sunny location here. Look at this guy. See that? Old injury there, all chipped away. This little juvenile right here. It's what I like to see. These animals can call this place home now. There's so many different elements to this pen that they can enjoy, and what's super fun is coming out here in the morning with your coffee and not knowing who you're gonna see or where you're gonna see them. That's some of our favorite things to do here, is to just explore this property as the season takes hold and just see where everybody is and what they're doing. It's like constantly being able to just walk around in nature. I mean, this is nature. So, We're not out of the woods yet as far as cold goes, but that's good. I want these animals to experience some cold. I want them to get used to an early spring season, so by the time fall and winter come around, they are well equipped and know what to do. These animals have evolved for a very long time to handle the 4 seasons, and that's exactly what we should be doing for them here. So stay tuned, because it's spring. Things are gonna get exciting.